I have the Miami Marlins ranked 23rd. Fangraph says they're the 18th best team in baseball. Their goal for the year is to make it back to the postseason. They got to the playoffs last year and lost, I believe, to the Phillies, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Big additions this year. Tim Anderson looking for a bounce back year. They bring in Yanni Chirinos, not bad. They bring in Trey Mancini, looking also for a bounce back year. They acquired Nick Gordon, who I think is pretty solid. They brought in Christian Bethancourt, Vidal Brujan. They lost Jordan Groshans, went to the Yankees. Did not even know that until just the second. Yuli Gurriel became a free agent. He wasn't that good last year. They lost Garrett Hampson. Joey Wendell was their shortstop when they made the playoffs. And David Robertson, who was a very solid reliever, I believe went to the Mets, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he went somewhere else. Or he went to the Rangers. I'm really not sure where he went. The rotation, Jesus Luzardo, AJ Puck is projected to be in the rotation. There's no way that's right, Fangraphs. Fangraphs says AJ Puck's going to be in the rotation. They got Trevor Rogers, Ryan Weathers, and Yanni Chirinos. I guess Yuri Perez is someone who I believe is a Cy Young candidate if he's healthy, but I'm pretty confident he might be needing Tommy John surgery. As of right now, we don't know what Yuri Perez's injury is. If he's healthy, he's a Cy Young candidate. He's the ace of the staff. Braxton Garrett has shoulder soreness. He was okay last year. I think he's solid. Alcantara is out the whole year. Edward Cabrera is, I don't know what he's doing now. But the rotation, Jesus Luzardo, I believe in. I think he's a solid pitcher. Max Meyer is a guy who is expected to be a Rookie of the Year candidate. Probably going to be in the rotation, as Yanni Chirinos is an okay pitcher. AJ Puck is a reliever, but he's going to be in the rotation. Oh, Edward Cabrera I think is going to be really good as long as he's healthy. He has a shoulder impingement, though, which means I don't know that he's going to be in the rotation to start. Sixto Sanchez is looking to be in the bullpen. Maybe he'll get into the rotation. But Ryan Weathers, I believe, was on the Padres a year ago. Not that elite of a pitcher either. Bullpen, Tanner Scott's a really, really good reliever. I think he's amazing. George Soriano, I think is pretty good from what I remember. They got a solid bullpen, an okay pitching staff. Last year they won a lot of one-run games. That's why I'm not that high on this team, because they relied on their bullpen. They won a ton of one-run games, getting them to sneak into the postseason. It's just teams that win a lot of one-run games, it's difficult for them to repeat what they did a year ago. It's difficult for them to go back-to-back years doing the same thing. The offense at catcher, you're looking at Christian Bethancourt, who's an okay, he can throw guys out, and he's an okay offensive bat. Well, obviously your bat's offensive, but he's a solid bat in the lineup, especially at the catcher position where offense is not big. The projected DH is Josh Bell, so that means they're projecting Trey Mancini to not make the roster, which I believe he probably will. Josh Bell is such an inconsistent player. He has a half where he's really good, a half where he's really bad. In Cleveland, he's struggling. He came to Miami, he was really good, but his peripheral numbers say he's probably going to be an average hitter. He's very inconsistent. It's difficult to gauge what you're going to get from him. At second base, you got Luis Ariz, who was amazing last year, but I think he might disappoint. He might disappoint some fans. I think he's great, but he's really contact heavy, gets a little lucky. Expected batting average of 329. He had a 354 batting average, and his BABIP was 362, where 300 is the average, around 300 is the league average. It's not a sustainable thing. I think he's going to bat more like 320, 330 next year and be a little bit worse, which diminishes his value as he's a bad defender over at second base. Third base, Jake Berger, I think also can disappoint. He hits the ball really hard, but he swings and misses and strikes out a lot. I think he had his best year of his career a year ago. At shortstop, Tim Anderson looking to bounce back, and I think he's going to fall apart. Vidal Brujan, John Birdie, right there, who both can start at shortstop. I think Tim Anderson makes it 2 months at the most with Miami before he gets cut. Jacob Amaya is also a shortstop. on the rise, knocking on the door to get to the big leagues. If Tim Anderson struggles, Jacob Amaya is right there as well. So Tim Anderson has a lot of pressure on himself to keep this job, and I don't believe in him at all. In left field, Brian De La Cruz last year was one of my surprising picks, and I think he'll be, again, really solid player. Center field, Jazz Chisholm Jr. needs to stay healthy. That's the main thing. He really, really needs to stay healthy. That's the main thing for Jazz Chisholm Jr. He's a great defender in center field, not his natural position. He played second base as he was coming up to the big leagues. He just needs to stay healthy, in my opinion, and he's good. In right field, you got Jesus Sanchez, who has been a pretty solid hitter in the past. Just needs to kind of get back to that. And Avisail Garcia has really been really bad since signing an extension. They also lost Jorge Soler. I guess I didn't really mention that. I forgot to mention that. I knew I was forgetting somebody. For some reason, it doesn't show on Fangraphs that they lost Jorge Soler to the Giants. Yes, it does. I'm bad at reading. And then they have Nick Gordon, who I think is a really good guy. He can play shortstop if needed, second base, third base, and in the outfield. Him and Vidal Brujan and John Birdie all have the exact same role on this team. I think one of them is not going to be on the team, and Trey Mancini is going to make the roster. I have them winning 76 games, losing 86, making them 8 games worse than a year ago. They won 84 games last year. I think best case scenario is make the playoffs again. That's what they want to do. That's what they're trying to do. But they won so many one-run games. It's not sustainable. I have the exact same over-under at 78.5. And I would take the under. I really don't believe in this team a lot. Plus, if Yuri Perez is out for the year or Edward Cabrera doesn't come back, their rotation does not look that good. Last year, they had a really solid rotation. It's just about can they come back? But yeah, I think the goal to make the playoffs, I don't think they will.